Looking for the ultimate island experience? Hop on the Ride Tuk Tuk Rum Punch Tour and explore Grenada like never before. Feel the tropical breeze, sip on authentic Caribbean rum punch, and cruise through Grenada's stunning scenery in our unique and fun tuk-tuks. It's the perfect blend of adventure and island flavor. Book your unforgettable tour now at ride.gd or call 473-422-1011. Don't just see Grenada, experience it with Ride Tuk Tuk Rum Punch Tours today.
Are you a progressive young leader, a proactive emerging executive, a rising professional? Then you need appropriate cover for your vehicle. Introducing the Pro Motor Plan from Beacon. Car insurance that includes free loss of use, windscreen cover up to $3,500, free special perils, free accident forgiveness. Get Beacon's Pro Motor Plan today. Don't procrastinate. Call Beacon today at 440-4447.
Good morning, clubbers, and of course, welcome to another edition of the Wake Up Club. It's a terrific Tuesday in the Isle of Spice. Well, a rainy Tuesday, but that's good. This morning, I'm grateful for, of course, the breath of life. I'm grateful for another day, another opportunity. I'm grateful to have this platform to share with you. And this morning, we're going to be sharing, and we're going to be talking about topical issues that are very important. What can I say? It's a terrific Tuesday. I'm happy to be here with you. I want to say a special good morning to the clubbers who are always loyal, people who are already on. We've got Lydia Louise on, we've got Clara Clement, we've got Rhonda Spencer Thomas. I want to say a special good morning to you and to thank you for tuning in to the Wake Up Club. Now, this morning we have a special program. I'm going to be speaking with author and cybersecurity expert Jervis Dabrio. And forget his titles. I've known him for a long time, and I can tell you that he is a good human being. And that is very important to me, not the titles, but how people treat you and how people interact with each other. And to me, he's a very good human being. So I'm very excited to be having this conversation with him because he's an expert on it. And, unfortunately, just as technology has been advancing, so are the criminals among us, them old thief and them, in the past they used to stick you up with a gun or break in your house. Now they sit behind their computers and they rob you. I've had that experience happen to me. And listen, I didn't go looking for it. I didn't invest in no get rich scheme. I was simply going about my everyday life. And at 2:00 in the morning, one day, I got an alert on my phone that I had just bought tickets to travel to Africa and I think one to Dubai and lost my money, and I hate it because it was on my debit card. So I must have used my debit card somewhere online. And then when I went to the bank, they said, you don't necessarily have to use your debit card online. These crooks are so smart. They kind of put numbers together and they throw it out and they try. So, as a result of it, I've had to go to the bank, and because it was my debit card, the investigation, nothing really happened. I lost that money, but I've had to change my life because I had to make sure that my debit card, and I gave strict instructions that my debit card can only be used via ATM and can no longer be used online. And of course, that bugs me because sometimes I go out and I pull out the debit card and then I say, damn, I have to leave and go to the ATM. But we've got to protect ourselves. We've got a fantastic show for you this morning. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll be chatting with Jervis Dabrio. We'll be right back.
Are you a progressive young leader, a proactive emerging executive, a rising professional? Then you need appropriate cover for your vehicle. Introducing the Pro Motor Plan from Beacon. Car insurance that includes free loss of use, windscreen cover up to $3,500, free special perils, free accident forgiveness. Get Beacon's Pro Motor Plan today. Don't procrastinate. Call Beacon today at 440-4447 or
Good morning, clubbers, and of course, welcome back. As I said earlier, this morning we're going to be talking cybersecurity. We're going to be talking about those scams out there, and not just the ones with the get-rich scheme. There are a lot of people that are falling victims to, trying to develop their life, trying to have a better life. Some of us, you get those emails about, oh, this is a great car deal, and you send your money out there, and then there's no car coming behind it. And I think sometimes we're ashamed to talk about it because we all think that, we should be smarter than that. But a lot of people are falling victim to these cyber crimes. And I've got the right person with me this morning. Jervis Dabrio, welcome to the Wake Up Club.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's really a pleasure being here with you this morning. I had to get up a little earlier than normal. So thank you for that as well.
That's okay. It's a beautiful day. But listen, my first question to you, okay? For those who don't know, who is Jervis Dabrio? Where you're from? Tell us about your background, that sort of stuff.
So I love throwing out, listen, I'm a Guav man, right? All the Dabrios are from Guav, so I'm a Guav man. And sometimes when I say and do certain things, I let them know, hey, listen, it's the Guav in me, right? I consider myself to be a teacher for years now, even outside of the professional circle. I'm a family guy. I love helping people, right? I think of all the things I fear in this world, I fear when I pass on not being remembered. And to me, to be remembered, you have to be either very good or very bad. So, and I consider myself to be a fun person, a practical joker. And then there are many other hats I wear. But I'm a straight shooter. So I'll tell you as it is. I don't mix matter. And I'm not one who is careful to be politically correct, right? I call a spade a spade.
Well, listen, I appreciate that. That's what we're all about. But this morning we're talking cybersecurity. And I've got to ask you, as a cybersecurity expert, what is cybersecurity?
Well, cybersecurity is really about protecting yourself, your infrastructure, your interests. When it comes to the whole digital space, right? How we communicate, how we transfer data, how we store information, our interactions. It is not just one button that you flick and everything falls in place. I currently consider cybersecurity to be a culture, right? So it's not just something that you do, and that's it. It has to be part of you, right? Every time you open the browser, every time you open that messaging app, cybersecurity and protecting yourself should be at the forefront of your mind and your behavior.
Listen, we recently had that situation in Grenada, and I know that it's not in solace because it's happening to so many people, and some people don't even know that it's happening to them. I spoke about my experience. I got an alert on my card when I'm sleeping that I bought tickets to Africa and Dubai. Now at 2 a.m., and of course the bank sends me a message, if you did this transaction, if you didn't do this transaction, let us know. But at 2 a.m., I'm sleeping. I didn't discover it at all until I went to the account and realized that, listen, there was a chunk of money missing. But let's talk about it. So many people, there are those who attack you that way. You haven't put yourself out to be robbed, um, but maybe you have because you're using your information, you're sharing information online. It's you know what I mean. It's ticklish, but there are so many people falling for these get rich schemes. What are your thoughts?
So I'm smiling because you actually took me back to Guav as a young boy growing up, and it is the Wake Up Club. I mean, we're going to say it as it is. And when I was young growing up, you knew who the village Marco was. All right. You knew who the peeping Tom was, you knew who the news bringer was, and you knew who the village thief was as well, right?
Yes.
So if something went missing, you kind of know, all right, I need to look in that direction, because there's a very good chance this is the person who took it. Well, you look at where we are now, and it's a different system. It's a whole different landscape, right? The village chief is no longer just someone that you know in the community, because everything is connected, because our lives now revolve around the smartphone, around the technology. It means anyone, anywhere in the world can target us, they can attack us, and if you not careful, you can fall for it. But it's not just about the get rich quick schemes, because there are people who fall victim to these things, and it's not because they were going for this let me get rich without putting any effort into it. You look at what is happening for people who just want to cover their education, right? People want to get to the next level. So they sign up for these online programs, these universities, they pay their money, only to find out that there is no recognized diploma or certificate coming from there, that the entire thing is just a fraud. All right. And it's not about educational level either. Anybody can fall for it. I look at it like you going to the ice cream parlor, and a good ice cream parlor would have a lot of different flavors. Now, I am a creature of habits. When I go, I'm looking for chocolate, pistachio, maybe a little coconut, but I don't go with all the other vanilla and hurricane and so forth. But a good ice cream parlor would have all the different flavors, and that is what the internet is now. It is this ice cream parlor where the proprietor, in some instances, are bad guys and they're going to throw these flavors at you. So in your case, it may be them throwing some giveaway something, but somebody else, they may be offering this lifetime investment opportunity to somebody else. They peddling education, and then there are those that they attract with their quick romance. I mean, it's just a different time, and this is why people have to realize that the mindset needs to change. We're not in the 80s and 90s anymore.
But Jervis, they've become so technologically savvy. What are the signs we should look out for?
Well, I mean, the thing is that when it comes to a lot of these scams, it goes back to hacking the human being, right? Social engineering. That it's a
Okay.
big term, but basically what it means is getting a human being to do something that they otherwise would not do, through some level of enticement or manipulation. So, for example, we tell a child, listen, if you get 80 or 90% in this exam, you would get new whatever, all right? Or we go out for pizza, right? Now, that child is motivated to actually put in the work because you offer them something that is desired, something that they want. I mean, that is different from you tell the child, listen, if you get an A on the exam, you're going to have to scrub the yard. All right, you're going to have to go cut the grass in the backyard. I mean, come on, man. The child isn't going to fall for
Mhm.
that, right? And this is what is happening: the enticement, the lures. You go fishing, you don't put a rock on your hook and expect the fish to bite. right? And this is what is creating a lot of problems. It's a case where what these bad actors are giving us are things that are desired. So how do you protect yourself? Well, you need to check what are the flavors in this ice cream parlor that would trick me. If somebody's going to poison me, how would they do it? Put your poison in your hurricane ice cream, you ain't gonna catch me,
Mhm.
right? So these bad actors, they're able to study us. Why? Because we put our information out there, right? We're on social media. In some cases, it's not even us, it's others. So you have children in the house and they put out this stuff that, oh, you're off on a family vacation. You post pictures showing that you're a dog person or you're a cat person. You have a new vehicle, the type of vehicle, these sort of things. Sometimes even the sort of headspace you're in, right? You're a little depressed, you're a little anxious, what have you. And these things come out in how we communicate, what we post online. And these bad actors, they find that and they use that now as an entry point into our lives so they could take whatever or get whatever they want from us. So you post a picture of your newborn baby. If I am a scammer, I know right there that is how I get it. Maybe I could throw some discounted baby products at you. Maybe I can give you some tips how to get the baby to sleep longer, right? And you're looking for help. And bad actors do infiltrate, they do get into some of these support groups. And when you think you're actually interacting with people who want to help you, you get a link, you click on it, your device is compromised, your account gets cleaned out. And it's not because you're stupid, it's not because you wanted to get rich quick. It's just you wanting to look out for you and trusting that there are good people around. And they are, but there are also a lot of bad people. So we shouldn't be naive about it.
Okay, most definitely. One of the things I practice, because I travel a lot, but I am wary. Like most of the times when I see people have to put a picture that they're in the airport, or they put a picture that they're on the plane, and I guess because everybody wants people to perceive them living their best life, I'm saying, God, you advertising for them, teeth them to know you're not home. If I do put up a picture, I'd put it up when I get back. But let me tell you something, you're absolutely right. I start to get, from the time I put up a picture, I start to get things about what I should do and what I should see and who I should connect with, even though I've been on my vacation and back already. You know,
And that's how
Listen,
the algorithm works.
exactly, because for example, if I look at a pair of shoe on Amazon, once I'm on Facebook, that pair of shoe is coming to me in all different versions. I keep seeing it, even though I'm logged out at the platform that I was once in. It's there, you know. Now I've got to ask you this, because I see it within my own life and my own family space, and I like to use real life examples. Okay, the elderly. The elderly seem to be very susceptible to buying and falling for these scams. Let's talk about that.
So so listen, there is no ethics, morality, and these sort of things when it comes to cyber criminals, right? They do not care that this lady is in her 60s, 70s, and the little money she has is what she worked hard for. This is she little life savings to buy she little medication, and so they don't care about that. And that is why you find things like the grandma and grandpa scams working, where these older people get these calls, and the bad actors are pretending to be a grandchild or so in trouble, saying, hey, there is an accident and I have your child's phone, and they need some help. They really need some money. Can you send it? Can you just take your ATM card and just give me the details so we can access the funds, what have you, what have you. The compromises to their WhatsApp account. Now, a lot of the older people, even though they're not on Facebook and Instagram, they are on WhatsApp. I mean, WhatsApp is the thing these days. And we've seen a lot of WhatsApp accounts being compromised among the elderlies, because you have people reaching out to them sometime late in the night saying, hey, I am the pastor, I am somebody in your prayer group, and we have this Zoom meeting, and we just want to ensure that you're able to get in. So tell me, what is the code that you receive, and before you know it, the account is compromised, and then these bad actors are reaching out to loved ones and friends saying, hey, I'm in a pinch, send me some money. So how do we protect the older ones among us? Well, one, I think we need to understand that as people who understand and appreciate the technology, we have an obligation to help guide them. So don't just assume that, oh, because it might take you half an hour to get grandma to understand why she need to put this code in, that you'll just abandon it because, listen, I don't have the time for this old woman, what have you, what have you. We have an obligation to be patient with them because they're not digital natives, and explain to them, listen, not everything you see or hear online is gospel. I mean, before, when you saw it on the news, you read it in the newspaper, that was it to a great extent. There was quite a bit of truthfulness to a lot of the things we saw outside of the propaganda that may have been willfully pushed. But fake news was not a big thing as you see now. So you have to let them know, listen, just because it looks real and it sounds real does not mean that it is real. Now, you need to be patient with them because this calls for a reconditioning. You have to get these people to now, abandon a lot of the things that they were brought up
But some of them can't.
knowing to be real.
It's hard for some people too to change a mindset that I've had for 50 years and to wake up and change it. So it is going to be a struggle.
And I think in some cases, because that is one of the things I've advised for the better part of last year, the latter part of last year, when it comes to some of these things, just protect them and you don't need to tell them anything. Because it might be easier to just do that. Just take grandma's phone, turn on two-step verification for WhatsApp, keep the PIN safe, and let her use it so she doesn't even know that you put another bolt on that door for her, right? When it comes to the financial accounts and thing, set up the app on she phone and let her know, all right, this is what, and go in there and freeze her card. She don't need to know that the card is frozen, but if she messes up, then it's not going to be accessible. Now, I mean, the proper thing to do is to have a conversation with them so she at least knows what is happening. But if that becomes a challenge, then you have to protect. I mean, we tell our children fire is hot. We tell them don't touch the iron, what have you. But in some cases, even though we tell them that, we ensure that the things are out of their reach, so they can't access the matches and so. And it's the same sort of thing that need to happen. And I think somewhere in there, Kirk, we have to be mindful that we are at some point going to be the older ones. And the technology that we're comfortable with now is not going to be around then. Something new is going to come. And we may not be able to adapt as quickly as we expect the older ones now to adapt. And we would want the younger ones then to be patient with us. So we need to be patient with them and do what needs to be done to protect them, especially when it comes to the money. You have to make sure that is protected, because when it comes to the older people, that is normally what the bad actors are after. Not the identity, the money.
Most definitely. Now, I want to ask you, what are some of the things, some of the scams we should be looking out for? Because recently I had, someone call me telling me that they're from Digicel, Caribbean voice, and that they lost my data and was asking me all this personal information. Now, I'm a former Digicel employee, but it was a Caribbean voice saying where they were coming from. It was very familiar, but I knew better than to give the person the information, And when I told them, I said, listen, I didn't tell him I'm a past Digicel employee. I said, I'm a Digicel employee. What nonsense is this? Of course, they were off the phone immediately, but it was very familiar. What are some of the, as a cybersecurity expert, what are some of the things that you are seeing in Grenada? Because it's not just about the get-rich schemes. It's about the buying the car. It's about different things. What are some of the common things that we need to look out for?
So the ice cream parlor is always open, right? It is always open, but there are some seasonal flavors in there. So you're not going to get mango ice cream in the parlor. Now, remember, the ice cream parlor is this bag of scams that they're going to throw at us. You're not going to get mango ice cream at certain points because, well, there is no mango in season, And that is
Mhm.
what we see in the cyberspace. Romance scams, you tend to find a lot of those either being initiated around the latter part of the year into the February kind of place. Christmas time, people tend to be, I don't know, we put our guards down, right? And then with Valentine's, everybody's lovey-dovey, what have you. If you do not have a significant other than you're looking for, and so we see a lot of these kind of romance scams around that time. I haven't seen many of them towards the middle of the year, right? So in terms of the reports that come in, right, a lot of the education scams, right, whether it is free college, what have you, those tend to come around the time when there is a transitioning of people from one level to the next, right? So you look at these things, you're not going to find them in March and so. You see, June, July, August, that time man, they're going to pop up like crazy. The giveaway scams, we tend to find a lot of those around specific holidays. So you see the Black Friday and the President holiday, and so in the States, a lot of those show up around the Christmas time, around the Easter time. You see a lot of those, a lot of those popping up. So there is a flavor for everybody, and so it is not just oh well, I need to look out for this particular one, because there are those that run throughout the year. Investment scams run throughout the year. The prepayment scams, they run throughout the year. We saw a lot of grant scams and financial support scams following the passage of Hurricane Beryl, right? Or once there is some sort of disaster, you see that. Coming out of COVID, there were lots and lots of them. Everybody reaching out to you saying, hey, we're giving away this money. It's free money just to get you back on your feet, whether you're a small business or you are an individual who may have been negatively affected because of employment, what have you, during the period. So, just click on this, give us the information, what have you. I mean, it's difficult to really protect yourself from not having your information fall in the hands of the bad actors, because it would mean not being digital, not having a digital presence. And this is very difficult to do in this day and age. And once you are on these platforms, somebody is going to get the information. But I think it makes sense to understand what information a legitimate entity will ask you for and what they would not request from you. Your financial institution will never, ever, ever, well, should never, ever, ever call you and ask you for the PIN for your card, or ask you for the password for your online banking. These are not things they do. As a matter of fact, in some instances, if you forget the PIN, it's a whole set of hurdles
Yeah.
you have to go through just to get it sorted out, because it's not a case where they have a little black book with your PIN in there. So they will not ask you for that. Why is the telecom provider calling and say you lost my data? Well, if you tell me you lost my data, I am thinking I may have to call my lawyer. Who did you lose it to?
Mhm.
Because that right there may be a violation of some data protection law, whether it is a local law or some international law based on where the company is based or originates out of, right? So you don't just give the information. You don't just fall for the sub story that, hey, I am in a pinch and you need to help me out. And that's why I said earlier, it is a culture, right? You walk into a room. When I walk into a room, Cook, I check all around. I'm looking for cameras. If I see cameras, my phone stays in my pocket because I don't know who is looking in. And these cameras are able to pick up a lot. So just me thinking and they see that, no, I'm not. I am not going to the mall and connect to the open Wi-Fi, because I know that right there is a serious problem. It is a risk. I'm going to spend the $2 and use my data, right? These are things that you do. You don't allow the youngsters to take pictures in the house. And I don't care how much you want to show off the new television that you got for Christmas or what have you. Don't put it up. I mean, let me give you this, right? So a couple
Mhm.
of years ago, I think about 5, 6 years ago, a friend of mine, teacher friend of mine, left here with her family and went to the States. right, for Christmas. And when they got there, there was some big function. So she posted, oh, we're going to wherever, wherever. And I sent her a message and asked her, which window should I break?
Mm-hmm.
She responded, what do you mean? I'm like, well, I know you're not in Grenada. I know you live by yourself. It's just your family. The picture says all of volume are in the
Mm-hmm.
States right now. I am a gentleman thief.
Mm-hmm.
Which window should I break? I don't want to break any and any window. So tell me which one I should break and go inside and take my stuff. And she was like, oh my God, Gabriel, those. I'm like, yeah, precisely. That is why you don't post it until you get back. And she has never posted the family vacations and pics and so until she gets back. It called for this sort of shift in the mindset and in just the behavior, how you do things. And the children need to be on board with that as well. Don't take pictures inside the house. Don't walk around videoing everything and then you put it out there. Thieves are online as well.
Most definitely. Now I've got to ask you this, okay? From a Grenada perspective, what are the major scams that you think that Grenadians are falling for? Because I know we're talking about the cybercrime, but we're also talking about, the young man who has a little money, wants to better his life and gets this deal about buying a car, sends all his money and no car comes. What are some of the instances that you're seeing in Grenada that people are being susceptible to?
Right. So when it comes to the largest sums of money being lost, yes, you hit it right you hit the nail on the head. Vehicle scams, and that one is really hurtful because you send the money, you have a loan to pay, and the vehicle is not coming. Right. I mean, even if you speak to the FIU, they will tell you a similar thing that a lot of the money is being lost through these vehicle scams. Right. You also have the investment scams. We have quite a bit of money being lost there as well because there is a level of enticement that happens, and it's only after people find themselves in a real bind they may reach out and ask, is this real? What is going on? By that time, they may have sent tens of thousands of dollars. So these people approach you and say, hey, you can get rich, put in $200 and you're going to get X amount. And it's put in, right? Account compromises. So account compromises would be the third one. And we're talking either people being very loose with their cards. So, I mean, come on, what is cheaper than Shein and Temu? But you still found that site where you can get an iPhone for like $5 and you put your card information in there. And they listen, people have to understand that once you enter your card information on any site, right? Whoever owns that site or whoever have access to that information, they can take whatever amount of money they want from the card. You have to trust that they are only going to take the amount that you intended for them to take. But if it is a bad actor, if it is a criminal, if their site get compromised and that information is leaked, then whoever has it can take out 10,000, even though all you wanted to spend was $10. So we're seeing a lot of that. As a matter of fact, to the latter part of 2024, we lost, I think, over $400,000 in Grenada as a result of that, where people were loose with their details, clicking links and so forth, and the bad actors were able to get in, manipulate the system, and of course, money was taken out. So those would be my top three in terms of how the money is going. The vehicle scams, the investment scams, crypto or otherwise, and then you have this other one where people are just a little careless, a little loose with their details. Password 123 is not a password. Don't reuse the passwords. As I tell people, your password, you should treat it like your underwear. You don't wear the same underwear all day, every day for all occasions. That's not how it works. You don't go around showing people your underwear. That is not what is supposed to happen. You have people who are still putting their PIN on a little piece of paper.
I still see it happening. Sometimes
Yes,
I go to the ATM and I'm in the line in the ATM and the person is pulling out the PIN number on a piece of paper and I'm seeing the PIN number.
And it's in the same wallet or purse the card is in. So if the wallet or purse is lost or stolen, people have that. I mean, I have seen instances, and I hope this is not happening anywhere in 2025, where they would put the pin on a little piece of tape on the card. It is actually on the card. You don't do that. You don't put the passwords under the phone, between the phone and the phone case. You don't do that. If the device is lost or stolen, they have all that information there. As I said, it's a culture that we now need to sort of create within our homes, within our spaces, and think security first. It is quite a bit, but with baby steps, I think we can get to a level where the bad actors know, hey, it may not be worth the effort. Go someplace else.
Okay. But the information is there because, for example, anytime I see a deal, okay, the first thing I do is I put in the name of the deal and I put scam next to it and I search the internet. And often, okay, most of the time, 99.9% of the time, I can tell that it's a scam because somebody might have been scammed before me.
Yes.
But of course,
Yes.
the deals look so good to be true, so you
Yes.
fall for it. Now, I've got to ask you, if someone falls victim to an online scam, what immediate steps should they take?
Right. Well, it depends on what the scam is. So if your card is compromised and you realize that at 1 in the morning, so for whatever reason, at 1 in the morning, you realize that there is a number on the back of your card, debit and credit card, you call that immediately and let them know, hey, I'm seeing something that is not okay. Please freeze the card. And then your next order of business would be when the sun comes up to go into the financial institution, file a dispute, and get the investigation moving so you can recover your money. If it is an account compromise, so you've lost access to your social media account or so, you don't postpone that well, I will get a chance to check it tomorrow. Because the more changes that are made to the account by the bad actor, it's the more difficult it's going to be for you to get back in. So if someone gets a hold of your Facebook account or your Instagram account and they change out, they change the profile picture or they change the recovery phone number, based on the amount of changes that are made, you're not getting back into the account. Meta does not do a good job when it comes to giving back people their account, even though you would show them, hey, this is my DNA in there. If it is a case where you ordered something, now you need to pay attention to what is the normal delivery period. So if I was to order this vehicle, what should I expect from the seller, right? And that is how you would kind of gauge whether no, that should not be happening, because you're supposed to do your due diligence before you send the money or engage with anybody for any expensive commodity, well, any commodity in general, right? But let's assume you did fall for it and you send the money. You don't wait 6 months, right? Not hearing anything from them to reach out to the authorities, right? The longer it takes between you sending the money and you reaching out for help, the more difficult it is for the authorities to track down the money for you to get it back. So if you figure out, hey, something is a little off, the sooner you act is the better. And I think everybody should know where the FIU is located. They should have the FIU number. So if there is, you can just give them a call and say, hey, I'm seeing this, I need to come in and so forth. Now, there is no guarantee you'd get it back. But I think these are some of the things that you need to do. The faster you act, the better. Because the longer you take, is the more difficult it is going to be for you to get back in. And especially when money is involved, you act as quickly as possible. And I should also point out this, right? Because some people think that the only time they should reach out to the financial institution is if they see $200 missing from the account or there is something off. No, if there is a charge for 5 cents, and you do not know about that, you reach out to the financial institution immediately. As I said, even if they are physically closed, use the number on the back of the card, because what that may represent is an initial attempt by the bad actors. If they're able to get 5 cents, then they may be able to get $100, $500, $1,000, right? We're also seeing that in some of these card compromises, they're no longer taking a lot of money at one time. They're taking small amounts over a period. So you may have 5 or 10 small amounts coming out in a week instead of just one big sum. Now, if you signed up for online banking, which is not optional, and you're paying attention to your notifications, you should have seen when, with the very first transaction, it said X amount was moved out of your account. And if it wasn't you, you drop what you're doing and you tend to your business. You have to mind your business because some of these institutions are not minding your business for you. They're minding their
Their
business, looking
business.
after their interests.
Yeah. I fell victim to that. And, that's why I encourage people to pay attention to your accounts if you have online banking. Because, an alert coming in at 2, 3 a.m. when I'm sleeping, I'm not going to notice. How I ended up noticing that I had bought these tickets was because while I'm sitting in the office, I saw a declined transaction for another ticket. And I said, what is this? And I went into my account and I noticed I bought tickets in Africa. I bought tickets to go to Dubai. And of course, it was my debit card. It's not as with your credit card, you're guaranteed you're going to get that money back because of the insurance and all of that. But I had to learn the hard way that I needed to pay attention to my account sometimes every day. And
Yes, of course.
I also find, based on you say the information they have, if you're a Netflix subscriber, you may see Netflix charging you, but it's not Netflix that's charging you. But you become so familiar. Okay, well, that's a charge from Netflix because I pay Netflix. Oh, that's my Apple, subscription renewal. But then you're noticing you're having 2 subscription renewals within the same time frame. Or I'm going to buy something on Amazon, and you type in Amazon in your browser, but there's so many different links and you're not paying attention to the link. You just see the word Amazon and you're going into an entirely,
Different website.
a whole different ice cream shop.
Now, Cock, let me say this, right? Because I don't want people to think that every time there is a card compromise, it's because you did something wrong or you messed up. There are people whose cards, they collect it, it's still in the envelope, and the card is compromised, right? Simply because there are other players involved. If the financial institution is compromised, your funds are at risk, right? In most cases, the cards come from a third party. So while, yes, it's given to you by the local financial institution, it came from some other entity somewhere else. And so it may be compromised long before you got it. So you get a brand new card, you have never used it, but the card has been activated, you not knowing that by simply activating the card, the funds that card accesses are now accessible to the bad actor, right? We also had several cases between 2023 and the latter part of 2024, where parents lost money because the children were not told, don't mess around with this piece of plastic. So whether it's Free Fire or PUBG or Fortnite or whatever the game is, the youngsters wanting to get to the next level, wanting to buy life or diamonds or what have you for their gaming satisfaction, went into the purses, took the cards, and entered it. We also had a case where I don't know which idiot, and I'm going to say that, and I'm not taking it back. Well, you know me, right? Started it. But in a school, they started trading card details. They started trading. We're talking in Grenada. So you had these children, a primary school, mind you, going into the purses, the purse and bags of the parents, writing down the card details on a piece of paper, going to the school and swapping it. Now, some parents did not lose any money. Some of the numbers may have been made up numbers, but some parents did lose money because the masterminds behind that wanted actual cards so they could use it for their games. So it was not to buy shoes and hair and this sort of thing. It was for gaming purposes. So please, parents have to talk to your children. Don't believe that. Listen, just because they're small, they should not be told this is what is happening. I mean, we tell them don't take things from strangers. We tell them don't just jump into a vehicle because it's stopped, right? A lot of these things can be applied to the virtual space as well. right? And once they understand that, you keep reinforcing it, you should be in a good place.
Okay, most definitely. But I've got to ask you this because sometimes, as you mentioned earlier, the financial institutions are compromised. And unfortunately, some of them don't mention it because they're afraid that we'll get into a panic and run into the bank and withdraw all our money and make them collapse. And I understand that, but at the same time, they're not sharing that information with you. In my instance, when I went into the bank, I said, but listen, I don't use this debit card, just as you mentioned. I don't use this debit card online. And of course, the lady said to me, listen, these people are smart. Sometimes they know the first set of prefixes for Grenada. It's just the last set of numbers they have to, like Russian roulette, they throw out some numbers and if it hits, it hits. I want to talk about it coming from a FIU perspective and cybersecurity. Are institutions responsible? Do they have are they mandated to tell us when the institutions have been compromised? We saw it at Ariza, and I know a lot of other banks have been compromised but have said nothing to us publicly.
So and it's not just here, it's across the world, across the region. So there have been multiple compromises of financial institutions in 2024 within our region. But if I had a magic wand and I could change one thing right now to protect Grenadians, well, no, I would need two things, because I would want them to get functioning minds that question things. But it would be that there is a law in place that mandates the disclosure of breaches and so to the customers from the financial institutions. So we do not have any law right now that says that if Bank X is compromised, they need to reach out to Dabrio and say, hey, listen, we had a compromise. Your data was stolen, what have you, what have you. There is no law for that. As a matter of fact, what we have been seeing is a practice that I believe should be criminal. Again, I stand by that. If Junior wants to bet me, he could just have another dollar for me, right?
Okay.
Where a lot of these institutions, they are aware that certain things happen, but they buy for time. Because if 3 months pass and you do not come in and file a complaint, file a dispute, you can't do anything about it after 3 months. You have 3 months to say, hey, the money that is missing from here, I didn't take it out, I want it back. So in some cases, they would give you the runaround. I mean, I've had a couple cases late last year where people went into a particular financial institution, and instead of allowing the customers to file a proper dispute, they were given word of mouth reassurances that they were going to investigate. And they go back 2 weeks later and they were told, who did you speak to? No, we don't have anything on file. Oh, we're going to do this again. And I had to explain to them, listen, this is not what is supposed to happen. You go in, file a dispute, right? Take a copy of it and also drop a copy of that dispute to the FIU in case the compromise was not external, but it was internal. Some sticky finger in there touch your money, right? You want to ensure that you protect yourself. The only law that mandates anything is for them to tell the FIU when they see anything that looks like suspicious activity, money laundering, and so forth. And even that, to me, is questionable. And that is one of the things that I'm hoping, the lawmakers work on last year, right? This thing is long overdue. It must be mandatory disclosure of all breaches and compromise. The financial institutions also need to educate the public, right? Just because there is a compromise does not mean they need to be a run on the financial institution, because banks are compromised world over. AT&T had a major breach. I think it was late last year, right? If AT&T can be compromised, who is Ilcom, Flow, and Digicel within our space, right? It is, what measures do you have in place to mitigate? How can you protect? And what are you doing to the best of your ability to keep us safe? But the compromises are going to happen in cybersecurity. We don't say if, we say when. And our thing is, you have to prepare for when comes. All right. But they need to do more. Definitely.
Okay. Listen, what sort of cybersecurity tools or software do you recommend for personal protection against online scams? Are there any we can
So,
use?
so in the news last night, they said STIs and so are increasing. There are increased incidents of that in Grenada. So people need to use protection, right?
Hmm.
Condom. Does your account has a condom? Does your phone have a condom? What do I mean by that? You have people who, as soon as they click the phone, they swipe up and they in. No pin, no nothing. Well, that is very stupid, right? Because if the phone is lost or stolen, nobody need to hurt their head. They get in just like that, right? You interact online. You visit these different sites. Is there a condom for the device? Is there some sort of anti-malware protection on there? And while yes, some of the free solutions do not work as good as the paid solution, there are solutions that you can use. So you need something that is going to block some of these malware and so from getting on the device, right? And I mean, any reputable technician worth their salt should be willing to just guide you through that without telling you, pay me $500, right? So what is on the device that is protecting you, right? And then a lot of the other things is about behavior. So yes, we talk about VPNs, virtual private networks, so you can protect yourself when you're on these open Wi-Fis. But that is going to cost because there is no such thing as a free VPN.
Hmm. They're
So
expensive.
how do you counter that? Well, simply don't go checking your personal stuff and private stuff on free open Wi-Fi. It would make more sense to put $1 credit on the phone. There is more protection there using the data of your mobile provider than simply just connecting on the open Wi-Fi, right? If you don't go clicking on everything that is sent to you, then a lot of the drive-by malware, and this is one that is very concerning because people would tell me, hey, Dabs, I click on the link, but nothing didn't happen. And as soon as I click on it, I just close off the whatever. And you have to explain to them, drive-by malware, simply clicking on the link, it gets on your device. It exploits whatever vulnerability exists in your device, in your browser, which is why I've been telling people, I've said it several times over, update the thing, update it. Cock, your phone been telling you since last week there is an
To
update and you
update.
keep postponing it. Take the update, right? The app says it needs to be updated. You keep postponing it. Update the thing because the updates in most cases they do come with security upgrades. All right. So it's a lot about the behavior, but my thing is if you have a device right now, you need to have anti-malware protection on it. And that is a bill that you're going to have. So if somebody is going to buy a phone or a laptop for you, then maybe try negotiating for the software. Understand you may have to give up a few pieces of chicken and fries in Firehouse,
Mhm.
just so you are protected. There are also solutions that would protect the entire home. So, for example, in my home, I have this router that does quite a bit of stuff. It's a Nighthawk, right? And it protects everybody who is connected on there. But it also means if you come to my house and you connect to my Wi-Fi, your device is scanned. You don't have a choice in the matter, right? So if you have a problem with your device being scanned and checked before it's allowed to do anything on my network, then simply don't connect. And you don't allow any and everybody to connect on your network as well, because if they are compromised, you could get a wraparound box,
Mhm.
right? In that you get compromised because somebody else was compromised and you trust the device on there. So those are some of the little things that can be done, but you have to have some level of protection.
Yeah, because I was just about to ask you about how effective firewalls and antiviruses are. You know,
Well, the firewalls are essential.
mhm.
I mean, to the small home, the homeowner, I think a firewall may be a bit of a overkill, right? It doesn't hurt based on
Mhm.
where you want your protection level to be. I mean, if your foot knocks in the place, then fine. But for businesses and so firewalls are essential, right? Anti-malware, it is something that you have to have now. And you're not just looking at the old traditional ones. You want those that are able to look at behavioral changes. So in your
Okay.
company, Kirk, you do not normally move 5 gigs of data at 10 in the night. Why is 5 gigs of data moving through your network? That is suspicious. That behavior
Mhm.
falls outside of the norm and it goes, hey, lock it down, right? And that is where AI, artificial intelligence, comes in. Many of the major players right now, they are including that in their packages because a lot of the viruses and so that we're seeing, they are pretty smart. They're able to evade a lot of the traditional protections and a lot of the free protections as well.
Mhm.
And then it's about sort of segmenting
Mhm.
your thing. You don't play on your work computer or work device, and you do not work on your play device. Children, parents, if you're on here, listen to this. Children should never, ever, ever be allowed to use their parents' devices if those devices are used for any sort of professional, personal kind of thing. If you do your online banking, you check emails, what have you on there, children should not use those. Why? Because some little thing going to pop up in one of the games and they're going to click on it, they're going to want to get to the next level and your device gets compromised because remember, you have them using your device as you. And that
Mhm.
right there is going to be seen as negligence by the financial institution if there is a compromise. And just like that, they tell you straight out, you messed up, you ain't getting back anything. There was a case with Apple where a parent in the US lost over 10,000 US. And Apple said straight out, listen, don't come to us with this nonsense. We gave you an option that you were supposed to turn on to protect the account. You did not turn it on. Don't come crying now. And the parent was not they didn't right, so parents should not, no, don't allow them to use your device. Let it go outside and
Okay.
play, get
Jeff,
dirty, let it learn marbles. Scare
exactly.
people,
But you
let
know
them
that
play
ain't
marbles.
happening because
Yeah,
in order to shut up the child from asking a question or doing something, you push a device in the child's hand. Now listen,
yeah.
Jervis, fantastic program. We're almost out of time. We could be talking from now till tomorrow because there's so much that we still need to unpack when it comes to cybersecurity and the things that people fall for. Because as you said, it's an ice cream shop. But of course,
Lots
if
of
it seems
flavors.
too good to be true, it most likely is too good to be true. I want to give you this opportunity, parting words to of course the viewers here on the Wake Up Club via the Ride Along Network. Your parting
pay,
words.
pay attention to your gut. Pay attention to your gut, and be suspicious. Be suspicious. I think, Cock, maybe I should have mentioned that since very early in the program. There
No,
has
no,
never
go ahead.
been a
Go ahead.
time, there has never been a time in the history of humankind where human beings wanted other human beings to be filthy rich. But you're seeing that in recent times, everybody wants to make you filthy rich. If the financial institutions could figure out how to just click a link and make millions of dollars, you think they would not be exploiting that? So be suspicious when people bring some of these things to you. Never put in anything you're not prepared to lose. My father-in-law used to always say, never lend out anything you're not prepared to lose. So and Richard Duncan, sometime I think last year, had this program and he said the same thing. If you're going to invest, then prepare to lose. Nothing is 100% guarantee. So follow your gut. Question everything. Do not be too trusting, and know that you can be helped. Right? You can get help. Just ask. If you're unsure, ask somebody. Ask the younger person in the house. Ask us. Reach out to us at the National CSOT. Give me a call. There are many other people who are willing to help. Don't be a fool and figure, hey, I ain't gonna ask anybody. And then you lose your 10,000 US, and then you come crying and think, come on, don't lose the money. Yeah, protect yourself before.
Okay, I've got to ask you, contact details. Somebody listening to this program right now, they probably feel they're the victim. And a lot of us, sometimes we see things happening, we don't understand what's happening because sometimes we're ashamed to let people know that we've fallen victim to something that we really should have seen coming. Should someone want to reach out, how can they reach out? How do they contact cybersecurity, financial intelligence unit, yourself? How do they reach out?
Right. Well, if you want to have a conversation with me, then you call me 414-7297. Well, 473-414-7297. Right. That's for the people. I know Junior have an audience all over the place. So I'm sure there's somebody right now listening this and they're from Russia, China, or wherever. Right. The man audience is big. So 473-414-7297. That is my number. The Grenada National CSIRT Cybersecurity Incident Response Team. It's 423-2478. 473-423-2478. Unfortunately, you can't place a straight call, so it would have to be either via WhatsApp or Telegram. The handle for the National CSIRT is at CSIRT GND. So such CSIRT GND is going to pop for Instagram, is going to pop for TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. I mean, it's not that difficult to find us. You just search for Jervis Dabrio, you're going to find me. Search for Grenada CSIRT, you're gonna find. And listen, don't call me and ask me if you could share my number. My number is a public number. You could call me anytime you want. You want to call me 2 o'clock in the morning, call me. The phone go ring, I ain't gonna answer because I sleep in, but I will call you back. Yeah.
Most definitely. Jervis, I want to thank you for joining us on the Wake Up Club. A wealth of information. Folk, I encourage you to share the program with someone that you think needs to listen to this program because, it's vital. It's vital. As, Jervis said, I really want you to take, part of the beginning of the conversation in protecting our elderly. Make sure you're protecting your parents, speaking to them about it, because this is a whole new world for them. And I ain't talking about those 80 and 90, I'm talking anyone over 65, because this is still a new world for them in terms of technology. In their time, if something came across as news, it was legitimate. But we all know that there's so many platforms out there that with so much propaganda that people believe, it must be real because it says it's from a news organization. So please make sure you look out for our elders. Jervis, again, thank you very much. I really appreciate you waking up earlier than normal, to share this information with us. Thank you so very much. Folks, you're tuned into the Wake Up Club. Thank you for joining us again, of course, on the Ride Along Network. We appreciate you. We love you. We thank you for your loyalty. Please share the program. It's vital information that everybody needs to hear. I want to wish you a terrific Tuesday. Have a fantastic day, and we'll see you on Friday. Bye.
What if you had a choice? A choice of joining a line or a choice of making your purchases online? What would you choose? While you ponder on that, the National Lotteries Authority has provided another purchasing option. All their games are now available online. Yes, Grenadians! From wherever you are, purchase your favorite daily and jackpot type games using any electronic device. Register on the NLA's website at www.nla.gd. Top up your account and enjoy online lottery gaming at your convenience. We're taking shopping comfort up several notches, but the choice is yours. Join a line or buy online. NLA, make your dreams come true.
Looking for the ultimate island experience? Hop on the Ride Tuk Tuk Rum Punch Tour and explore Grenada like never before. Feel the tropical breeze, sip on authentic Caribbean rum punch, and cruise through Grenada's stunning scenery in our unique and fun tuk-tuks. It's the perfect blend of adventure and island flavor. Book your unforgettable tour now at ride.gd or call 473-422-1011. Don't just see Grenada, experience it with Ride Tuk Tuk Rum Punch Tours today.